I love this idea of a weekly seating chart. So this is adapted from, if you click down here in the speaker notes, this resource, it's a daily seating chart by Nora. So I'm just kind of changing this to a weekly one, but she does this daily. So if you want to see how she does it, you can kind of look here and see what she does. I kind of took some of her ideas and just adapted it for a weekly version because again, I love, love, love this idea. All right, so the first thing is the what. This is a seating chart and it's posted weekly. Again, hers is posted daily. Number two, the reason for this, it helps you give feedback to students and it also helps you meet their needs. And right here are just some additional reasons about why you might want to do this. You're going to use data that reflects that formative and summative. You're also looking at your students and you are debating where they're at, and you're able to see where they're at all times by using that data. You're able to create those small groups that might work with a co-teacher or yourself, and then you can pair groups of students that are on the same lesson so that way they can work together collaboratively. You're able to work with students who might also be working on different things that might be able to help each other. So someone that's struggling, that has mastered, they can kind of work together and help each other. You're also able to separate any behavior problems that might need to occur. And then you're also able to eliminate students that are kind of looking for a seat. Okay, so that is kind of the why behind this. Also, before we get to the how, I just kind of want to say this is suggested for teachers that are using like a self-pace. So this might be like a roadmap and grid method. If you don't know what those are and are interested, let me know and we can kind of start there before working on this weekly seating chart. Um, but again, it's kind of for that self-pacing where students are moving along the roadmap, the game board, the grid method, all at their own pace. So the how. You are going to review formative and summative assessment data. So right here is another example of how, and there's all these resources linked within here as well. You are going to find the resources that you like best and fit your classroom best. So again, you're going to track that formative and summative assessment data. So you want to give feedback. I suggest conferencing with students. So right here, don't take anything home, grade it right in front of the students. And this just has some resources and there's a video there and you can just kind of see how you can give feedback. Maybe you want to do it one-on-one and you do different appointment times and the kids sign up when they're ready to get feedback. Maybe you set it up so it's with group work. Maybe you're coming in here and you're using Classroom Q. Decide what you want to use. Again, there's a ton of ideas, but you need to figure out what works best for you. And sometimes it's trial and error. You try something, you realize you hate it, and so you want to try something else, and you find out that you really like it. So again, happy to help with this. If that is what you need or you're trying to figure out, let me know what issue you kind of want. This one is group sign up. So instead of giving it one-on-one, maybe you do like a quick conference with different students and you put what they're working on. This also kind of involves a lot of student ownership. So they have to know, what area am I struggling in? All right, once you do that, you want to have a tracking system. So these ones are kind of teacher controlled. The teacher inputs the data, where these ones are student owned. The kids put in the data. So you kind of want to decide what one you would rather use, and which one's better for your classroom. So maybe you just use post-it notes and you just kind of say, okay, these students got it, these ones don't. Or you're using those formative assessments, exit tickets, and you can put them in different piles to know where students are at. This one right here is a Google Sheet. So you're able to go in and all you have to do is have all your students here. I have all the standards listed below for 5th grade. And again, happy to set this up with you if you have a different grade that you want to set this up with. And once you enter that data, it's going to change the color. And I'm able to look for trends on how my students are doing on these different assessments. So again, I would just type the student name here. And then I can go in here and I can put, oh, they mastered this one. And I can see their progress and their trends over time to kind of make better decisions as well. This one is a Google form. So you're going to click it and you're going to make a copy. It works very similar to this spreadsheet, only you have all your students here and you can just quickly check, and then hit submit. And then it will pile into a spreadsheet like this so you can look at trends. We can set up conditional formatting if you would like to. And then down here is, these are student owned. So this one is a tracking sheet. Again, you would type all your students' names here, and then they let you know where they're at. They put working or finished rather than a grade. But this tells you what lesson or what part of the unit they are on that self-paced lesson. So again, just can kind of help when you're looking to check in with students. And sometimes you might use this and the Google Sheet. Okay, so that's okay too if that's what works best for you. Another thing I've done is using Pear Deck or Google Slides, and the kids can move their little name tag to where they are, or they can have their Pear Deck up and move their little circle where they're at. So you can also kind of see how students are doing with their tasks using either Google Slides or Google or Pear Deck. And then a learning log. These are kind of cool, and there's a ton of examples here. These are like questions that students need to answer. So with task one, they have to, after they finish task one, they have to answer this question and check in with you, and then you initial. I've seen teachers use it with Post-it notes. So the kids will fill out a Post-it note when they're ready for a teacher check-in, and then the teacher will call them up as she's ready to conference with students. And then she just initials. And as students are waiting, they just keep going on task two, task three, and she just catches them up and conference with them at her when she's ready to conference with them. So that could be another idea. And again, those were kind of student owned. The next thing is taking notes and mistakes and misconceptions. So really looking at your data and then identifying those students that really need help. Those students might sit with you first at the back table. So that way they're getting that teacher assistance, immediate feedback. Another thing is you might want to determine how your students what mistakes and what misconceptions they're making. And I just loved what Nora had, is she had these misconceptions, and then she had like the teacher here, and there's 3 different options that you could do. Also, if you have a co-teacher, you might be able to have 2 of these different stations. And then talking about like mistakes, do I want my students to have a mistake and master together? Do I want to align it so my students that are at the same lessons are together? So just thinking about how you're going to organize your classroom for the other students that won't be at your back table. Those 4 to 5 students will be at that back table with you. But then how do you want to group your other groups? Do you want the students to have the same misconceptions or the same errors together so you can do a quick mini lesson? Or do you want it kind of all over the place? Or do you want it where it's kind of, again, all over the place? So you can kind of decide how you need to organize that information. And then the kind of final step is you're going to share that new seating chart. So what you're going to do is down here, there are blank templates of just some seating charts, and you would just type the student's name in. Once you have these done, you'll project this on the wall, and the students will quickly move to their assigned seat. Down here, these ones are cards, and you can move and drop them into the blank Google slide, and you can write student's name. Also, if you have a photo of a student, you could use that, or you could have students create an avatar, and this resource walks you through that. So again, students then would have 30 seconds. And again, it might take a little bit longer the first time, and you're building in that transition routine. But this is a built in 30-second timer. And students, again, they'll get their supplies, they'll move everything to their new seat. Typically, I would have students come in, they might do like a bell work or an entrance ticket type of assignment. And then we would do like a quick mini lesson after that time, and it's their work time. I would set that 30-second timer, and they would move, and I would show one of these, whatever one I use, on the board so my students know where they need to go to sit. So again, just a really good way of using data and then reformatting your weekly seating chart to match that data, and looking at trends and patterns can really help grow you as a teacher and help your students by differentiating for their needs.